Okay, guys, so I'm coming clean. I'm having to use a filter because I had a little filler and a little Botox, and I had some marks on my face. Okay, so if you notice little weird dots behind the filter, it's my filler injection. We'll have to see. It's still very swollen. So, like, I don't know yet how good it's going to look, but hopefully, in 2 days we'll know. So, like, I'll use no filter in 2 days and you tell me what you think. Don't worry, it's the kind I can melt if we're not happy with it as a group. Okay? All right, if you like my channel, subscribe, like, and hit that notification button so I can continue to bring you some fun videos about topics hopefully you care about. Okay, so tonight it's Christmas Eve, believe it or not, and all I can think about is Peter Cornell because a Patreon this week DM'd me on Insta and said, could you please cover Peter, who went out with Christine Quinn and Emma Hernan. He is purportedly both their exes, and he actually, it was rumored, was seeing them at the same time, but it turns out like there's some people who agree with this and some people who don't, including him. So let's get into it. I'm going to quickly tell you the story because I can't say no to you guys. Okay, let's do it. I don't even watch this show. I need to watch this show. I have a feeling. What do you think? Should I? So Peter Cornell is 45 years old and he was an NBA player. He's 5'11", 5'11", what am I saying? 6'11", he's almost 7 feet tall. It's hard for little tiny me because I'm like 5'3", so for me to imagine someone 7 feet tall is like mind-blowing. But anyway, so he's really tall, so these girls must be tall in Selling Sunset. So anyway, here's the story with this guy. He grew up in Piedmont, which is 20 minutes from San Francisco, and he went to school at Loyola. He got a full ride on a basketball scholarship. He ended up playing for 30 teams and 15 leagues and 7 countries. So that's pretty impressive. I guess Peter Cornell played for the Lakers. And so I wonder if my friend John Sally knows him. I used to hang out with John sometimes. He was a really nice guy. Ooh, I wonder if he has deets on this man. I should reach out to him.
People who actually are listening to this podcast right now, they might know you from such films like Semi-Pro, Like Mike, Bedazzled. So how did you get into the film industry? And it seems like you play a lot of basketball roles in those.
Yeah, I fortunately, when I was playing in a kind of a summer league game called the Real Run out of Los Angeles in '99, I had some buddies that were talking to me about doing some commercials, and I really didn't understand it. I was just trying to get in the gym, work on my game, and get a gig playing basketball. These guys were talking about commercials. I thought they were a little silly. So I passed on a few opportunities to do stuff my rookie summer, the summer of '98. And then in '99, I got pulled out of the gym by a guy named Nigel McGill, former UCLA standout, played with the New Jersey Nets.
He didn't pass on Selling Sunset season 4.
And when he injured himself and he went back to LA, where he's from, he was the same class and is a McDonald's All-American with Michael Jordan. So they were very close, and they ended up working together extensively on a lot of Michael Jordan's, branding and his basketball commercials, particularly. So Nigel knew all these guys, and Michael Jordan's kind of, changing the whole landscape of marketing for basketball players and Nike and all that. So Nigel was kind of pulling in these guys who were, pros, maybe overseas or in between gigs, and could use the money of doing these commercials. So, because you got actors that might look like ball players but can't play ball, and you got ball players in the NBA that are not trying to do commercials and get dunked on, or whatever the case was, that he goes, we get the best of them there. So he pulled me out of this game and said, man, we're going to get you into some commercials, and took a couple Polaroids of me just to date myself. And within a week, around a big base camp and these trailers and all that. And they had converted the whole Long Beach Convention Center inside to be the Lakers floor, home floor. And I go into wardrobe, they're steaming out number 8 Bryant jerseys. And I was like, wow, here I am, 3 years old. And next thing I know, I'm shooting a Sprite commercial with Kobe Bryant. where Kobe's dunking on one of my teammates on the Washington Wizards for the commercial. And I remember telling my mom, I was like, "Oh, Mom, I'm doing this commercial." She's like, "Yeah, you're in a commercial? What are you, an overgrown Leonardo DiCaprio? What do you think you're doing?" I'm like, "I don't know, Mom. That's kind of cool. It's a day." She's like, "You need to work on your jump shot." I'm like, "All right." Well, she was right on that. But I ended up getting, the checks started coming, and here I am. Gosh, I don't even know where I went that year. I was bouncing around in the minors. My mom's calling me every week or 2 weeks. "Pete, you have a check here for $2,300. Pete, you have a check here for $3,400. So I ended up making, a ton of money on this one commercial.
Of course, right.
Came back into LA that spring, summer, and
now he's like, screw basketball.
And, it just kept on going. And if it wasn't for basketball commercials, I wouldn't have been able to really give it a legitimate shot of trying to stick in the NBA or get back to the NBA.
He was in with Kobe and all those guys, Shaq.
It's just too tough. And fortunately for these guys now, they've kind of opened it up, and they have these two-way contracts, and the NBA is realizing they're losing too many guys to the overseas leagues, and they want to keep guys around. And I think they're doing a great job by incentivizing them to stay. But for us back then, you had a bunch of different leagues and, making no money. And for me, it was huge. I was able to make six figures, year after year doing commercials, which took 3-4 days of my summer. And was very fortunate to do that.
How do I get one of those commercials?
To do that, and we'll continue to do it until they don't want me to do it. I just shot
Yes, this story's good, and then I'll get off this. But, I want you to hear a little bit, get a little other, picture of him besides selling Sunset.
The recent one, the LeBron James one, called Want It All, with the young kid who ends up being LeBron James' teammate. They ran it heavily in the beginning of the season.
So you're in that?
Yeah, I was. If you blink, you'll miss me, and you can see me more in the 2-minute version.